to our preseason TPS report. We are doing a draft preview for the Pigskin Syndicate draft, which is tomorrow night.
Booyah!
At 8:30 p.m. Very exciting stuff.
Yes!
So what we want to do is we want to go over quickly the team's keepers, talk a little bit about the draft, and some teams who are in some good situations.
And some teams that are in some poor ones.
Bad situations. So
that would be my team.
We're going to go through the keepers, and how do you want to do this? You want to go team by team?
I would say let's just take a look and whatever, jumps out.
All right, so first up, we got the Soda Pop Binskis. I like that team. I'm a fan.
Is that your team?
It is my team. So we have Andre Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, Jamal Charles, and Owen Daniels. And I got to say, that is a pretty good core group of four. Not to mention that the Soda Pop Binskis also have right now 8 picks. Out of the first 42 picks.
If I had to look at that, I would probably say that the picks are almost more important than the keepers.
Well, right now they're picks 8 and 11 in the first round.
The 11th pick is?
That's your pick from the disastrous Dallas Clark trade.
That was bad. My team last year was where tight ends went to die.
Jermichael Finley as well.
Jermichael Finley, Dallas Clark, and then I think Fred Davis for a week.
Right, so clearly, looking at the Soda Pop Binski's keepers, Owen Daniels is a key here. And one thing I don't like personally about my team is don't love having the Andre Johnson and Owen Daniels combo. Well, because basically
Shop's got to throw the ball to someone.
Yeah, they have a bad passing game that adversely affects my team no matter what. So next up, we have Pycon's Penetrators.
It's Pecan.
That's right.
It's Pecan.
We were corrected on that, and I did listen. So he's currently keeping Phillip Rivers, Deshaun Jackson, Ahmad Bradshaw, and Vincent Jackson. And what's interesting, first of all, he was the owner of Vincent Jackson, who I believe is the best developmental guy hands down, and especially because we had those new rules implemented, which was supposed to prevent situations like this from happening.
Well, but it never addressed holdouts.
So it did not address holdouts.
We may have to have a constitutional amendment.
Now, while I love his keepers, and I have to say he has the best value probably out of any team kept, he's missing a 3rd round pick, he's missing a 4th round pick, and I do wonder a little bit about the fact that he traded for Ahmad Bradshaw and Deshaun Jackson when he could have arguably kept Felix Jones, who may or may not be as valuable as Ahmad Bradshaw. Deshaun Jackson has some question marks around him, so you got to wonder.
Well, right now, Deshaun Jackson's the man.
The right thing. He is. Well, Macklin's hurting also. So
Macklin's got some bad disease.
Right, but overall, you got to say that it's a very formidable group.
Losers, next team up, keeping Tony Romo, Matt Forte, Reggie Bush, and James Starks.
What did you think of that Reggie Bush trade he made?
Well, I don't know if it's actually accurate that there was something written into the contract of 12 to 15 touches per game. I think that was fictional. But
so we'll see. I thought he might have had a better player to keep than that. I think he had Antonio Gates. So I was wondering if he could have kept Gates and kept his draft pick rather than trade for Bush. I know Gates has his question marks.
In talking to Stefania Bell, she mentions a lot about Gates having that really, really bad plantar fascia. And seriously, we're looking at Gates on a 16-game schedule. Gates could theoretically be playing 8 games. So you got to ask yourself, will those 8 games come in the beginning of the season? Will they come in the middle of the season? Or will they come at the end? And will they be there for weeks 14, 15, and 16, which are really the most important weeks? So you're really rolling the dice with Gates.
We'll have to find out. And we have Tim Boodoo's team named Tim Boodoo.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's marketing.
And he has the same, these actually the keepers I would have thought he would have had last year. Frank Gore, D'Angelo Williams, Javid Best.
Concussion. And
his developmental guy, I actually kind of like Roy Williams this year, right? Especially keeping him at this point in the draft with some of the other developmental players. Roy Williams is an upside play there, I think.
He has a shot to be the number 2 guy in Chicago. The only question I wonder is, why is Johnny Knox suddenly their 4th receiver? When did that happen?
I don't know, and it's interesting because Earl Bennett was also kept as a developmental player in our league.
I don't get it all.
Next up, we have the McLean Marauders, Peyton Manning, Peyton Hillis, Noshawn Moreno, and Tashard Choice.
Possibly should rename his team Peyton Place.
That's good. That's a good name.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning has a neck injury.
Yeah, unsure right now whether he's going to play. When an owner comes out and makes a statement like, we're waiting for the nerve endings to regenerate, that's a little out of control. To me that sounds like, you never know with Manning, but the guy's like Superman, so anything is possible.
Now, one thing I do like about his team is he does have Peyton Hillis and Noshawn Moreno. Very few teams in this league have 2 starting running backs, so that's at least a good place to start.
It was just announced today that goal line carries will not be going to Noshawn Moreno.
Going to Willis McGahee.
And they will be going to the aforementioned Willis McGahee.
that aside, I mean, I think the one thing this team needs to focus on wide receiver and tight end depth, especially in the PPR league. But at least he has that core of running backs. Well, Peyton Manning's healthy, which, until you see that Peyton Manning's not healthy, you have to assume he's going to be there playing games.
Yeah, I think McLean Marauders have to be taking a quarterback somewhere because you just don't know about Manning, and you know what? Maybe they can trade him, the quarterback down the line to somebody who may need them when Manning comes back.
Next up, we have the Fighting Goats with Rashard Mendenhall, Roddy White.
Yes.
Mike Williams and Plaxico Burress. Plaxico Burress having a big game the other night.
That is absolutely correct.
It doesn't look like a terrible. By the way, I have to check to make sure he's developmental. Did you pick him up before week 9?
Of course I did. I had him a long time ago.
Let me double check.
This guy's hating.
Aside from that, though, you have Roddy White. Nice. Rashard Mendenhall. Very solid team. And the upside play of Mike Williams there.
Yeah, I had the chance to keep Deshaun Jackson. I felt like I was missing draft picks. I felt like I needed to supplement everything that was going on.
You had initially submitted Dallas Clark as a keeper, actually.
Yeah, but that was
so stubborn about the fact that you were a first-round pick.
I mean,
that you were going to spite your team for the future.
Well, I thought that it might be. I was looking at maybe drafting and keeping Dallas Clark and maybe being able to use him as a chip down the line to accrue some picks for next year. Because really,
I like the Mike. I think Mike Williams goes back into in the draft pool. He's picked in the first 4 or 5 picks. Next, we have Vic in a box. And interesting strategy here: trading draft picks for the future in order to get the best possible keepers moving forward. And he has a very boomer bust team here: Michael Vick, Chris Johnson, Dwayne Bowe, and Tony Milwaukee.
I'm a fan
of Tony Milwaukee or the team.
Of Tony Milwaukee. Vic, listen, Mike Vick, anything's possible.
Same thing with Chris Johnson.
Anything is possible.
You're talking about 2 guys who could be 1 and 2 in the league.
Or
he could make a run this year, or he could, the injuries of Vic, Chris Johnson's holdout situation. Dwayne Bowe is a player that neither you or I like too much. So we're not huge
the problem,
Bowe fans here.
I think that Vic in a box, their entire season right now is going to be predicated on whether Chris Johnson actually comes back. I would look for them.
This team is stacked for 2012.
To take Javon Ringer somewhere early in order to handcuff in case Chris Johnson doesn't happen.
But 2012, you've got 3 young studs as a cornerstones of the team. Anything they do here is pretty much bonus.
You buy Dwayne Bowe, which I don't. Dwayne Bowe was acquired for what, a 5th-round pick?
Yeah.
So.
Next, touchdown there. The defending champions, Calvin Johnson, Steven Jackson, Darren McFadden, developmental player Earl Bennett. Now, this is the team that traded Michael Vick and decided to go with Steven Jackson and Darren McFadden.
I don't know if I would have done that. Well, I think, it's possible that they were thinking a little bit about running back depth or lack thereof, and at least you have 2 sure guys at that point.
I have to tell you, I would have done what he did. I would have traded Vic and kept Steven Jackson.
I don't know. To me, Vic
Darren
is
McFadden. I don't love Steven Jackson. He's getting up there a little bit. Darren McFadden's injury prone to some degree.
Darren McFadden has never proved he could do it. It was a 1-year thing.
There's maybe 1 or 2 teams in our league that have a better running back duo than that. When you add Megatron into the mix, that's a very formidable combination. And also, Earl Bennett, we talked about Roy Williams before. Earl Bennett could be one of those guys who ends up being really solid this year.
Well, I think
he's in the mix to be the number 1 team in the league.
I think he's really banking on there being someone solid at quarterback, and hoping that there's some receiving depth falls to him because of the fact that everyone's going to be so worried about running back, which we may or may not have.
Okay, next up, Syracuse but deadly. The team I think everyone thought would win the championship last year.
Questionable.
And then actually went on a selling spree in the offseason, but still couldn't unload some of its pieces like Brandon Marshall at the end of the day.
Arian Foster, MJD, Reggie Wayne, whose stock has to fall a little bit with the Peyton Manning injury, and then Jordan Shipley.
That Jordan Shipley keeper was actually Rashad Jennings, and then
I don't know if I would have done
uncovered the fact that he couldn't keep Rashad Jennings, so it turned out he had to get another guy, so that's why Jordan Shipley's there. There's some question marks with all 3 of those guys, and yet this could be the team with the best keeper.
Well, there's a lot of upside. Arian Foster's a beast. MJD, if he doesn't really have a knee injury, which, or he's rehabbing, or, the bone-on-bone thing.
Is this a team that needs to go out and get Rashad Jennings?
I think that this is a team that needs to draft.
And Ben Tate. 2 guys who are clear handcuffs, essentially.
Is it Ben Tate or is it Derek Ward?
I'd probably go Ben Tate after the other day, but that's me.
It's preseason football after all.
Okay.
The Sanchez! That was awesome.
You just broke all my stuff. Did you break my Sanchez bobblehead?
No, he's fine.
Okay.
He was in my
One fish, 2 fish. Matt and Greg. We have Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Matthews, LeGarrette Blount, and Dustin Keller. Now, interesting, Greg actually posted on the league message board the other day, could we give him better keepers? I would actually argue that he had better keepers before he traded for Ryan Matthews and LeGarrette Blount. He traded away Mike Wallace and dropped Wes Welker back into the draft. And I'm wondering if you were the person, would you keep Aaron Rodgers, Wes Welker, and Mike Wallace, or would you keep Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Matthews, and LeGarrette Blount?
Well, again, I see why he did this, because there's no running back depth where someone has a clear-cut gig, and even though in this case here,
LeGarrette Blount maybe
has a
for a fourth-round pick, maybe, but then Ryan Matthews for a third.
I mean, right now Tolbert's stealing a ton of carries. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, look, you don't need to say anything. He's awesome. And then really there, Dustin Keller. How's Keller going to react? I mean, after the fourth game last year, Keller did not catch one touchdown for the Jets.
That is true, but this team was able to keep Keller on a technicality where 3 guys were left off the list, and Keller, Aaron Hernandez, and another player Aaron Hernandez and Dustin Keller were allowed to be kept essentially because of that.
Time will tell on that move.
Right. I'm just not sure. I think Mike Wallace is the player that I really liked, and I probably would have kept him over.
You're a big fan of Channel 2.
I do really
like that.
All right. Zod's Minions. This is the godfather of fantasy baseball, Rob Leibowitz, new to the league. In the expansion draft, comes out with Ray Rice.
Nice.
Sean Green.
Fan.
Santonio Holmes.
Fan.
And Jacoby Ford. And the Sanchez is going to play a big part here because we now have 2 Jets on this team.
I mean, you can't go wrong there. Well, you can go wrong. As a Jet fan or as an analyst?
Well, we're both Jet fans, but doesn't Sean Green worry you a little bit in the PPR league?
Well, right now, Sean Green with a foot infection, that shouldn't be an issue unless it's, I mean, I don't even know.
Right, and I love Santonio Holmes, and Santonio Holmes was 1 touchdown away from finishing developmental player for my team.
That would have been good for you.
That would have been great for me. The Mill Pond Dragonflies.
Formerly the, what were they? The Fairway Dragons.
Right. Tom Brady, LaShawn McCoy, Miles Austin, Aaron Hernandez. Now, I still believe he's still only in this league because he owns Tom Brady and he's a Patriots fan. But we're
not going to hold that against him.
No, we won't hold it against him. But yeah, all right. Miles Austin. There's a lot of people in that mix this year, the Dallas mix.
Well, you got Miles Austin, you got Des Bryant,
Jason
Witten is always is a perennial guy. I just don't know. Here's my thing. I think his whole success is going to be predicated on Sleepy McCoy and what kind of season he has.
Right.
Because he's going to have to carry him. He's clearly going to be drafting a running back somewhere early. If there's anyone available, he has the turnaround pick. If I remember the draft order,
he does.
So he'll have 2 picks
in the first round.
He'll have 2 picks in a row. He can certainly address running back with one of those.
I agree. I don't know. The running back pool in this draft is really ugly. It gets ugly quick. When we're talking about Cedric Benson as a potential first-round pick, it's not good.
The big thumbs down for Ced Benson.
So we have Los Zetas, Drew Brees, Mike Wallace, Hakeem Nicks, and Jacoby Jones. And I got to tell you, this is a team that I don't know if I loved so much when I first looked at the keepers, but I started to do more reach, and Mike Wallace and Hakeem Nicks, that's a really
you're high on Mike Wallace.
I've already said that, but
Jacoby Jones as a developmental, I mean, we've been waiting for that guy to break out for like 3 years now.
Not sure it'll happen. At this point,
it's a crapshoot. I don't know who his other choices
I would say maybe 3 or 4 teams benefited from the developmental player this year. I mean, obviously the Vincent Jackson team. I think some of the teams with tight ends, I thought Daniels was okay. Plax has upside, Earl Bennett, Roy Williams, but a lot of these guys were just
we don't know what Plaxico Burress is going to be. I'm hoping for the ceiling.
Finally, we have Hands Off Mike Peterson.
Mr. Peterson.
Now, this team, I don't know if you know this, has been in the finals for 5 straight years.
That's amazing.
That is. They've won 3 championships and lost twice.
Now, if you look at their keepers, Adrian Peterson, Mike Turner, Greg Jennings, Lee Evans, what's it going to take to put them over the edge and get the ring?
Michael Turner does not do so well in a league like this. Greg Jennings, I mean, you gotta love anyone in Green Bay's passing game, basically, right? Lee Evans was a last-minute substitution. They originally were going to keep Visante Shenko.
I
think they made the right move to switch to Lee Evans. All right, so there you have it. That's
it. It's our first TPS report.
Our first TPS report. Hopefully, we'll have a better studio set up. And,
we had to do this in the confines of our workplace.
That is true.
During off hours.
During work hours.
Off hours.
After work right now. That's right.
So listen, we're going to have Mark Sanchez take us out. We'll see you guys after the draft. Peace out!